Ladies and gentlemen, The Flash. Well, continues to be a bomb, of course. As I had said many times already, this movie will lose somewhere in the region of, at the very least, 200, upwards of $300 million for Warner Brothers Discovery. Now, this is in its third weekend. However, Indiana Jones, yes, this is a big legacy character. But unfortunately, now this is, well, I say unfortunately, it's not unfortunate, it's a garbage movie. But it's bombing as well. Now, this has underperformed hugely. I did a report on it yesterday, but always got to catch up with it on a Monday when some more clear-cut 100% figures come in, which, I will say this, they're pretty much always the same from a Sunday to a Monday. There's very rarely any discrepancy. Sometimes, actually, the discrepancy lies in the fact that they earn less, not more. So let's take a look at this, ladies and gents. Hit subscribe if you're new here. So Warner Brothers Discovery, articles like this really misconstrue it. They're like, hey, it was convinced that, The Flash would be one of the year's biggest box office hits. No. They just needed it to be because they sunk so much money into it. And there were executives at Warner Brothers that were claiming this. They were marketing it out to celebrities and such. But the problem lied in the fact that it was all just a lie. It was a big marketing debut, basically. And in fact, like I said, Warner Brothers executives, they were pushing for it. And they were even surprised. They were like, why? Why are certain members of Warner Brothers spending so much money on this? This is unprecedented. Well, they were trying to make, genuinely just trying to make back as much money as humanly possible, of which, they were never going to. And I think what's so sad about this is Andy Muschietti, guy that has made good things, is now signed on for Batman Brave and the Bold. Not the best choice. And also the individual touting that this was the greatest superhero movie of all time. And in fact, someone even said it was the best movie of all time, which, goddamn, you're an idiot. James Gunn, who has now come out and, he's the CEO, isn't he? So it's not a good look for the future of DC. So Andy Muschietti's adaptation of The Flash, it's bombed hugely. Opening weekend, 55 million debut, right? Awful. And then it would suffer the same record drop as Morbius during its second weekend in theatres. But what's the third weekend drop? Because again, the opening weekend, I always do reports like I do every Sunday, and you get the same tired chatter coming through, going, well, how? How can you predict this? Well, quite obviously, there's historical precedent for it. So, it dropped massively, and now the third week it's dropped to the 8th place. The Flash made only $5 million. That's a 67% drop from last weekend. So that means domestically, United States, it has only made $99.2 million. It's not even cracked $100 million. Worldwide, $245.3 million. And that's after 3 weeks in theatres. That is embarrassingly bad. Huge bomb. Massive bomb. And it's interesting as well, to kind of watch people sprawl around and try to justify that this is a good movie and it should be, that's good results. Whether you think the movie's good or not is besides the point. But to say that this is good results is just absolute naivety. $245.3 million worldwide after 3 weeks is utterly appalling. As in, woefully appalling. And it's, you have to take into theatre cuts. This movie, even if you take what they say on face value, had a $250 million budget. It hasn't even hit its production budget. But the problem is you've got to average 50% of theatre cuts, right? And we're not even talking about marketing yet. So what has it actually made thus far? Well, $125 million. And then you've got marketing on top of that. This is nowhere near to breaking even. So when I say that this movie will legitimately lose somewhere in the region of $200 to $300 million for Warner Brothers, it's not a stretch. It's not an exaggeration. It's basic mathematics. Now they say this thing is on track to be perhaps the biggest superhero box office flop ever released, especially with a rumoured production, marketing budget. Production and marketing of over $300 million. Now you do the math, ladies and gents. The break even, that means it needs to hit the 600 million mark. To turn a profit, it needs to go over 600 million. So when I'm saying it's going to lose $300 million, it's not a stretch at all. In fact, it's on track to lose about $350 million because the next week it's done. 245.3 million worldwide. It's not going to do much more than that. It'll maybe hit 250, if that is a disaster. Well, on to our next disaster, shall we? The number one movie in the world. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Decrepity. Or the Dial of Destiny. Or the Dial of Dysentery. The Dial of Decrepitude. Whatever you want to call it. It's horrendous. This is a movie with a budget of about $350 million. Easily. Now, yes, it did open at number one. But it took $60 million. And now that is a result which is widely being described as a disaster. Because it is a disaster. Now, the movie itself did earn $130 million globally. Okay, fine. But again, we've done the mathematics on The Flash. Just apply them here. It's not doing very well. This is less than half of what Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull grossed during its debut, which was $272.1 million globally. And that, you also have to change and adjust for inflation and variable ticket pricing. Now, this is not the sad state of box office on a whole, which people will have you believe. It's not. Super Mario Brothers came out this year, grossed over $1.2 billion. Insert Dr. Evil meme. $1.2 billion. It's that people are more discerning about what they watch. They see an advert and they go, do I want to watch an 80-year-old Harrison Ford running around being told what to do by a feminist bitch? No thanks. Because of course, you've got to remember, ladies and gents, is Indiana Jones's core audience were men. And women, because women fancied Harrison Ford back in the day. They don't want to see their hero, the star of the franchise, belittled, demeaned, overshadowed. And yet Lucasfilm seem just so intent on doing that with every single property they have. And that all comes down to Kathleen Kennedy and her bizarre innate desire for self-insertion into movies. Now they say this, in terms of what went wrong, it appears the decision to premiere Dial of Destiny at Cannes was an early blunder on Disney's part. Wrong. The moment the trailer dropped, people knew that this was shit. And then you get all these articles coming out who don't have their finger on the pulse. And I'm not even saying that this pulse, is hard to find. You only have to do basic Google searches to figure out what people were thinking about this movie. It's not difficult. Go to the trailers. Look at the comments. People weren't interested the moment the trailer was released. The moment Phoebe Waller-Bridge was announced. They don't care. They don't like her. Hollywood needs to stop trying to make her a thing. Now they also say this, that was the wrong audience to play for a movie like this. And those early reviews killed much of the buzz. What positive buzz? Again, there was no positive buzz. But I do like this part because this makes me crack. It makes me crack up. However, audiences also rejected James Mangold's farewell to the character as the movie was awarded a so-so B+ cinema score. And so this is what a lot of people go down to, is they go, well, the score's not that bad. Yes, but no one's watched it. So it doesn't matter. And James Mangold, great director, made one of my favourite films for a very long time, Ford versus Ferrari. But the problem is he loves a dour movie. Logan, for instance. And they even reference it here, it seems people didn't want Indy to get the Logan treatment. Well, Logan wasn't belittled by a feminist. It was a little girl that he became a father figure to. If Indiana Jones was being a father figure towards someone that he was nurturing, and it wasn't a woman belittling him, then you would think that the predominant male audience and females that liked Harrison Ford back in the day would be less inclined to feel vomit coming up in their throat whilst watching it. But alas, Kathleen Kennedy and Lucasfilm have the foresight of, an amoeba. So while the franchise is one that appears to skew to older and didn't bring in younger moviegoers who simply put have no real relationship with the property, and yes, that is true. And then they further say, it is said that this is another movie with a combined $300+ million budget. Yeah, it is. Lucasfilm, fucking hell, you've lost so much money here, and you've only got yourself to blame. So yes, The Flash, Indiana Jones are bombs. It's got nothing to do with COVID, like everyone seems to mouth off about. Because again, riddle me this, mofos. Surely Super Mario Brothers wouldn't have done nearly as well then, would it? It's all to do with the quality of the film being put out. And people don't have the money to spend on shit. So anyway, if you've got any additional thoughts, please do leave them down below. I'd love to hear it. Give the video a like and a share. And if you like what I do here, then support the channel by becoming a member or joining Patreon. Links are down below. And also, I would say, if you can, please do check out the links in the description box to my podcast channel, Mistakes Reviews Live Archives. Cheers, guys. Take care. Bye-bye now.